Hello. Suddenly we're in a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna self-defined. I'm a storyteller, and I'm trying my best at sort of playing with the sensory feeling part of storytelling in my practice. That's what I do. I make music, and I write. I write a lot, and and this is all I'm good at. So I cannot do anything else. This is my purpose here. I've tried to do retail plenty times. But I'm good at this.
So do you feel like when you were younger, like obviously you were drawn to music, like there was obviously nothing else?
Oh my gosh. No, that's there's plenty other things. There was many I guess it's funny to call them distractions because I don't think that's what they were, but there were lots of things that came before music. There's like yourself, I did lots of illustration. I was very attached to the visual world. I was a little girl, and I went to school. I got into like an art school because of drawing initially, and it's hilarious because I don't really care for it anymore. It actually quite intimidates me. I find picking up a pencil or a pen, it's putting something down in that way is very, you know. But there were plenty other things. I loved dancing. There was an amazing dance space in my school that was open all the time. It was like unlocked all the time, and so you could just go. And it was all of the walls were mirrors, and people, all kinds of kids were in there just popping and locking and Soldier Boy up. It's like we were just dancing all the time. So that was always a very strong way to communicate. And I've been a collector of things. I have a lot of things. I think that's a big thing about where storytelling now has fit into my life, because I've been collecting a lot of things. I have an obsessive tendency to sort of collect. Like I have a lot of objects around me. Inanimate world is we're very close, me and the inanimate world. So I think I see a lot of life in objects. And it really inspires me to walk towards what something might say, I guess, or what something might be feeling. And I think music came because I like listening to music. So it was always like I want to. I don't know if I want to play it. I think it was I just like listening to it. I was always at concerts, always at shows growing up. I was part of a lot of shows, but I really liked watching people in the element of performing, and that was just delicious. Like everything about watching someone play music was just lovely. And so I think I just naturally if I was in the space when people were making music, I would just feel invited to do it too. It didn't really come from like a self discovery of it. It was like I just want to like be here with this.
What's they say? Oh, be present.
Yeah, I want to be present with like whatever is happening here. And I feel like that also comes then with like realizing what it is you like when you're in a space, and very quickly it's like, do I like what I'm hearing? And then that would propose me to think, oh well, maybe if I don't like this, or maybe what if I make something I like? But yeah, there was always sort of, I feel music came in moments. I don't think it came in like this rush of like, I am going towards this. I love karaoke. That was my strongest sense of music. I think I've done more karaoke than I've done shows, just in life, generally. So that's been the strongest music. It's like covering people's songs. Yeah.
I feel like probably that, I think with singing, I guess sometimes that's how it starts, like the karaoke thing. I mean, you like karaoke and it's like you feel like you want to sing, like as a career, which is like so interesting. It's also interesting what you said. It's also interesting what you said about how you feel intimidated by art now. Like I feel like you said, I can relate with that. Like, even though like I do art, but it's like it terrifies me anyways. As in, like, I really don't feel like it's my it's a passion. Like, as we all have passions, how you mentioned dancing and all those kind of things. Like, it's a passion, but it's not the passion. So it's like it scares me at times also, because I also feel like the imposter syndrome, like how we all do, and like I'm like, I don't feel like I'm that great of an artist, but I feel like I'm a better writer than I am an artist, like that, if that makes sense. It's like, it's so weird, and I feel like that's always how it's really been. So I guess even me and you can relate to that in terms of like, music, and then like music art, but then it's like it's in different forms for both of us.
I think it also, it's very okay to pick something up and put it down. Like I don't see that when we were younger, people weren't asking about what you do. It was just like, if you did it, you just did it because you like it. So it's always a really strange transition to sort of step into an adult world where people are expecting you to know what you like, and that thing that you like is what you do. Sometimes it's not. And that's okay. It's like, I like I like cooking, but I'm not aspiring to be a chef. But that would be fine in that context. But it is something about art that makes it more. It has to be a bit more polished. And I think there's an expectation for that. Every moment you're like front facing and like you're trying to present something.
Yeah. I think also when you were speaking, I was also like, you were touching on what the first question was going to be. I was like, what inspires you to make music / write it? But then also I feel like you touched on that a little bit, but you could obviously say more if you have anything else to say, of course.
I'm very inspired by I'm inspired by a lot of things.
Everything.
I'm inspired by a lot of things. I find myself very inspired at the moment. I guess I can talk from the moment, the present, by risk. I'm very inspired by risk right now in this time, because there's a sensation that I'm sort of challenging with, which is suspension of disbelief, and trying to sort of hold something and hold people in a container, world in a container. And like, how can you sort of forget that we're in a club, or that we're in that we're in a performance? Like, I'm really playing with. That's inspiring me a lot. Just the risk of making something a bit extreme, and testing those polarities. I really, the suspension of disbelief is a big inspiration at the moment. And people, like, of course, like, storytellers all the time are playing with that element, trying to like create suspense, and like stories are what keep you there with them. So I just, to do that live though is always such a, it's like, so there's so many things that there's so many parts, there's so many obstacles when it comes to it doing live. When you're in a story and you're writing it, you are completely in charge. Whereas when there's people involved, there's such a loss of predictability that you just experience the now. So I feel very inspired by that. I feel very inspired by people I love, which it's like a cycle of like, I love them, and so they inspire me. I'm inspired, so I love them. It's like it just goes into this really beautiful carousel. Yeah.
I think that you do that well, though. As someone, I mean, who's seen you live anyways, I meant that, like, that risk that you were talking about. Like, I think you do it well, because I like that you interact with your audience. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like you're just watching somebody sing, because that's usually sometimes what, like, performers can do, where they'll just, like, sing and look at you. But you're more like talking to us, and like I remember when you did the breathing exercise and that kind of stuff, and it's just like, you want that. And I think you make us feel what you're feeling, like, you know what I mean, like the emotions. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I sort of think that if we're going to have time to be together, even if we don't know each other, we should use it wisely. That's really all I'm going through in that short amount of time I have to share something. How can I use this time wisely? And it's always really, at some point, not up to me in the end, because a lot of people when people are in front of you, things that the idea changes. So
yeah. And I was gonna say, when we were talking about how you have how you're in love with music, so like what is like your favorite song, or do you have one right now? I mean, there's so much to choose from. Yeah. But like, maybe you could say,
I have a song that I wish I wrote. I don't know if I have a favorite song. I have songs that I wish I wrote.
Okay, fair.
Because they're everything that they are. I think about Dancing Girl by Terry Callier. That song is alchemy. It like, I love a song that, despite what is happening, it takes up the entire room. And I find those songs to be quite, spellbinding. This song particularly, there could be like chaos around, there could be a fight on the train. There could be like a football match. Like there could be so many things happening at the same time. Although I thought football, I've never even been to a football match. I'm just thinking about the chaos.
Yeah, the chaos
of something could be happening or being presented itself. And if I'm listening to that song, like, I'm not there in what I'm seeing. I'm there in what the song is. And I find that crazy, because, like, it doesn't matter what I am or who I am or where I am. That song will completely transport me, which I find is just in audio. Like, that's so crazy. But that song is unbelievable. And then I love Edith and the Kingpin by Joni Mitchell.
I'm really making notes while you're saying this. It's like music I'm gonna listen to later.
That record, oh my God! Like, everything about every lyric that she wrote for this song could be deconstructed into. I just see them as people. Like, every sentence is a single individual person. She composed the most beautiful story in this song. Everything feels so immediate. There's like such an urgency about this song.
Yeah.
Down to like what she's saying, but it just, the whole, oh my gosh, I don't know. Every time I listen to that, I'm like, I know.
What did you say the song was called again? Sorry.
Edith and the Kingpin.
Okay.
By Joni Mitchell. Yeah, she just knew what she was doing. There was just something about the commitment to it. She was just so committed to telling you something urgent, and I'm just completely obsessed with that. I love that song, and I think there is a song. This might be my favorite song. There's a composition by this, I believe he's Czech. His name is Leos Janicek. And It's called Intimate Letters.
Intimate Letters.
Movement 3. It's like very specific. That is the third movement. And the specific version of it that I'm obsessed with was by the Norwegian Chamber Orchestra. I've listened to a lot of different versions, and I found it originally when being really high in the Barbican with my friend Vivian. We were there watching another, like a quartet, and they started playing this piece, and I was like, I just remember crying. I looked over at her and she was asleep. Like she had like fallen asleep, and like it was perfect. Like it was for sleeping. Like everything that they were playing was just, like to put you in a trance. But I just remember like just tears just falling on my face. I'd never heard anything like this. It was so enchanting, and it's because it's so repetitive. Like, the piece is so repetitive. I will send it to you. I have the version. I'll send it to you. Okay, great. But yeah. Whoa, that's probably my favorite. I've listened to that far too many times. Do you think like I was gonna ask you next, what would you say maybe that song, like what's its genre, do you think? And do you obviously have a favorite genre, or like just do you have also a genre that you dislike as well, or not? Well, I mean, that song is oh God, it was written to be played by an orchestra. Okay. Or it was written to be played by a quartet, but then let's just play it now. So it's classical music, I guess. Yeah. I love classical. I think my favorite genre is classical music, but in ways in which they're deconstructed, very deconstructed classical music. Things that are very like repetition is involved. I'm not really a fan of things that are like no. Yeah. We're not going there. It's like it's too heavy. Like we're not that enthusiastic all the time. We don't need that all the time. But there are deconstructed classical pieces that I absolutely weep to. A lot of Japanese classical composers have I think that would be my favorite. I think that would just because it just reminds me like of being alive. I think mostly I'm very attentive when I'm listening to classical pieces. I think I love folk. I've always loved folk. No, same. You know what I mean? Like it's like I remember like listening. I just like there was in Toronto. There's a very popular band called City and Colour, and like First Aid Kit was also very big at the time. And I just remember these like two bands just taking up so much of my life, and I've just folk has always been very strong as a navigator. It just kind of puts you in the place right away. It puts you in the warmth. In the warmth of it right away. Like it's just so I've always thought that with folk. I feel like with the one emotion I always think about folk music is like it's like vulnerability. It's very vulnerable. Yes. That's what I love about folk music. Yeah. It wants you to sit by the fire. Like, yeah. Like let's go. I'm like I'll get out of this meeting and like let's sit by the fire. You know? Yeah. That's how I feel about when I'm listening to folk, and I've always wanted to. Yeah, I've always been very drawn to that style. When I learned to play the guitar, it was like, okay, like I know why I'm playing this guitar. Like I know I'm trying to like attain that kind of warmth, which is very, very precious. A genre that I don't like though. Is very interesting. I don't think I like soca. Okay, fair. But I mean, that's like I don't know if that's a whole. It's a movement. It's you know it comes from the Caribbean, which is where I'm from, and I understand why we dance to it. And why we love to it, and why we eat, and why we celebrate to it. But like as a as a feeling. It doesn't I want to say the word spend me. It doesn't take my energy out of it. I don't there's nothing that's like that gets raised in me.
No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
My grandmother also doesn't like soca though, which is I don't know. We've had this conversation before. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I would say my three are like I think classical, and then folk, and then maybe between maybe dub and jungle.
Yeah, those are nice.
And then it goes on, and then it's like let's get experimental, let's get you know what I mean.
There is so many genres, I meant, of course, in music in general.
It's very complicated. Very complicated. It's very complicated. I don't think that at this point as well. There's so much music on the planet. I'm not really sure that the calculation of it is useful anymore.
I always feel like as well soccer, like I think like it's a music that of course it's supposed to make you want to dance to it and it's all that, but I always think sometimes it's like you want to hear music that you can resonate to and that like touches something in you, but I mean like more on the emotional way, like not or more so like always just wanting to dance. I mean sometimes I feel like I don't even want to like dance to music all of the time. I more want it to like I want it to connect to me, like I want to know what experience can I think of when listening to this song.
Exactly.
Like that's what I'm saying. It's so interesting. Oh yeah, on top of folk, I was gonna say, do you have any folk artists in particular, or then anyone that like you found out recently?
Oh God, it's recent. There's this person named, is it Anna? God, Anna Stretton.
Anna Stretton.
Hannah Stretton. HANASTRETTON. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my. I'm quite at this point in my life. I in cycles, like I'm not looking for a lot. I'm not looking for music at the moment. I'm writing it, so
yeah.
I don't do a lot of crossing over in that mentally. But when I was writing a few weeks ago, I wanted something to decompress to, and I saw. Where did she come up? Oh, you know, like when people just like put on stories, they just add music to their stories.
Mm-hmm.
She was just, it was like that. Like I'm at the moment finding more music through people adding good music to their stories.
Yeah.
And I saw this song and I was like, whoa, who's that? And I went and I saw her latest project, which I believe, I'm going to find it for you because it's just so gorgeous. So gorgeous. And I listened to it all night. Like there was looping. There was looping a lot. It came out in 2023. It's called Soon. It's an album. It's 11 songs. And it's just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. There's a song called Can Too that I have played hundreds of times now. But I guess I don't know. To me, that's quite like I'm not sure if she would identify as folk, but that to me is like going back to what I listened to in high school.
Yeah,
it's so of the night. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like music that you would just only listen to at night.
Yes.
When like the owls and like the wolves are out, so I just like I just be playing her in the night, and I had to send her a message about. I was like, this is crazy. Like you're you're exclusively in a time for me, like in like a literal hour of a couple hours of my day. Yeah, Hannah Stretton, she's crazy. I'm not sure where she's from, but yeah.
And you said the one in particular is the song Soon.
So the album is called Soon.
Okay.
And the song is called Can Too. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I asked you that because obviously I was like, I found a folk artist the other day. I think his name's Arlo Guthrie. Yeah.
Oh,
And I feel like he's kind of, maybe he's also similar to you, because it's like he likes to do, like, he obviously story tells through his music, like the one song in particular, which is Alice's Restaurant. It's like, it's a song where he's just talking like most of the time, but he's obviously also singing, but it's like, it's obviously
word.
a story that he's telling, and I think that's his way of music anyways. I think I searched him up, of course, and he obviously always has a kind of he likes to tell a story during it, or kind of just speak to people and like sing also while he has his guitar.
Alice's Restaurant.
Yeah. So I love that. Like, I love that I found him. I mean, it's like I love looking for folk, like new folk artists.
Yes, exactly. Ooh, 1967. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna jump in. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then also you mentioned about guitar, and I was like, and then I think my next question was how many instruments can you play?
I'm not sure if it's a can I play, but if it is more of that I like to play. I like to play the harmonica.
Yeah.
I like to play the guitar. I like to play the piano. I like to play. It's an instrument. Oh my. What is it called? I had this thought yesterday, trying to remember what this is called as well. Let me find. This is an instrument I really, really like to play. It's usually played to sing Hare Krishna. Instruments. What is this called? Aha! Harmonium.
I thought that was an instrument I probably haven't heard of before.
Harmonium. I lived in Margate for a few months in 2022. Wow, yes, 2022. And my landlady, she had a piano in her kitchen, and she had this harmonium, and it's very similar to an accordion, but it's like a tiny piano.
Okay.
Box. It's a box, and you take it out of the box, and you pump it with air while you play it. And I played it. I asked her if I could take it up to London for a show in 2023 January. It was like my first headline show, and it was just like the sound. It was so strong. It doesn't need anything else. You don't need to play it with anything. You don't need a band. It's really strong on its own. It endures. It's so gorgeous. It feels like similar, very sounding to an organ.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just like for such a small box, like there's an amazing amount of power. So I like playing the harmonium. I think all these instruments are for very different experiences, which is exciting. I think I'm looking at them for what they are individually to me, and everything sort of. All of these instruments have a very strong story in my life. So I think it's less about if I'm like good at them. I think I just like to keep them around like friends.
Yeah. You wouldn't say one that you feel is the most like, unique, or the one that, probably that maybe you, resonate with the most.
I resonate the most with the viola, but I don't play the viola. Like, and when I hear the viola, I can just cry.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of listening to the viola in projects that are not yet out. We've done a lot of recording with the viola, and I just absolutely, it's my favorite thing to listen to. But to play, I mean, the piano is the most natural. Is like where it doesn't matter if it's untuned. Like, I'm just happy to be at it.
Yeah.
um, I just don't find it overwhelming, which is interesting because I think there's a lot, like, I think instruments can be super overwhelming. Even a harmonica, it's like, sometimes I'm playing harmonica, I'm like, ooh, like, I'm physically overwhelmed by all of this sound. But a piano doesn't really do that for me. There seems to be a very preciousness that every piano I have found to play exists in. It's very precious. Like, you can kind of do anything you want. And I know there's an entire, like, metric. Of course, there's, like, a lot of equations on it. But really, it's not asking of you. Like, I think it just kind of, like, says, like, like, just do that, you know? Like, and then something will happen. But, like, with a guitar, you kind of need to, I don't know, for me at least, I'm like, I feel like you kind of need to, you have to use your body a lot. Using your body, you're using your like, your limbs.
Right,
you kind of just sit on a piano and, like, it would make sounds. Which I like. I like that it's, like, it's not, it doesn't, it looks and feels, quite complicated, but it like, doesn't really ask that much of a person, which is lovely.
And how long have you played piano?
I've just played them whenever they're around. I remember I had 4 lessons in middle school, so I was maybe 13. And on my 4th lesson, the teacher just said, "You're not very good at math, so this is really hard to pursue as a pianist." And for whatever reason, like, I just listened to her, and I was like, okay, well, then I'll just stop coming. I remember telling my mom, like, this is what she said. She was like, "So what? Is that it?" And I was like, I guess that was her way of saying, like, pick something else. I just kept playing, but I just didn't go to see this woman again. Because there's no teacher on this planet that should tell a kid, like, I think I can foresee that you might be shit at this thing. And I was just like, that's crazy. So I was like, you clearly are a hater. I'm just gonna go and play this in my own time.
Yeah.
Which is what I just continued to do. It didn't like stain me or cause me any grief. I was like, okay, well then I'll just go and learn the Twilight theme song at home.
That's one of my favorites ever.
I can play Bella's Lullaby. Like, that was my first. I learned how to play on the piano. Because I would, like, I remember in those 4 lessons, like, she was like, "What do you want to learn?" I was like, "I want to learn Bella's Lullaby."
Yeah, of course.
And of course you want it.
I would feel the same.
She was like, "You're not very good at this." So I went home and I just was like, I'll just figure it out. It's a beautiful song.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I understand that you would want to learn that one in particular. It's so gorgeous. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Bella's Lullaby. You know on, like, YouTube, you search Bella's Lullaby, the first one that comes up is like 36 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, there's just someone who just kept putting it on loop. It's hilarious. It's so good.
I would listen to it on loop, though. I mean, of course we all would. I mean, as in, like, to fall asleep to, even. I mean, like,
wake up to.
Yeah. Just always. This question was kind of like, do you feel like there's a difference between, obviously, joy and then the narrator? So, obviously, musical personas. Do you know what I mean? Like, people always feel like they have 2 different spaces.
Right.
But do you feel like they're just one, really?
I know when both are in harmony. I know that when me and my practice is in harmony. But I don't know if there's, like, a distinction that I'm trying to necessarily. I don't know if there's a distinction that I'm trying to highlight in a way that feels like alter ego.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that I don't feel like I resonate with the words alter ego. I've never said it doesn't. It's like not language in my. Like I've not said this is my alter ego.
Yeah.
Though I do feel like it is there has to be a harmony with the narrator and myself.
Yeah.
To perform, to be able to create. I definitely know that when I'm doing different mediums, that there is a strength that both are sharing. I know me as a person, I know that I'm quite sensitive and I'm quite I have I'm very motivated by the things that I love and the things that bring me life. And so like just knowing that in my person, I'm going to take that very strongly into whatever I'm presenting as. Though I feel that the narrator, when it was sort of decided in myself, it became like an action word. It very much feels like a verb as a name, because I have to do it. Not something that like I'm becoming, but like I have to tell this thing. Yeah. So in every different scenario that I'm in, I find myself like every story, like every film, like every book, there is a narrator. So I find myself taking on it as an action word rather than there's a single individual narrator. It's like there's going to be narrators throughout history of God's time of love, all of the life that we've all lived. You know, there are voices that have taken us through different worlds, and so I just find myself with the responsibility of the name rather than this like single idea, which I felt very strong about when I decided. It was like, it doesn't need to be a household thing. It can just be something that you very much associate with this voice that can carry you through something. Yeah. And I find that very comforting to my own life, that I can trust my voice. I can trust that what I'm saying is true. I can trust that the timing of what I'm saying is true. And that's very, very, that brings me so much peace, really. Yeah.
I love that answer though.
Yeah. I do understand though. Like I do understand the division.
Yeah.
Because there has to be places where you can deconstruct your own identity. And I play with that as well. I have many other characters that I get to experiment with when I'm collaborating. Like with Bianca Scout, I've done a lot of character experimenting with her over our decade of being close. And I love her for that, because she very much extracts those characters out of people. And I think that's probably, for me at least, where I feel most comfortable to play, when there's already a foundation between people that I'm working with, that like, oh, we don't have to be what we started as here. And that's really comforting. But I find that there are some people who are just so naturally good at getting into that role play. And it makes me really comfortable to test those waters. I have a lot of different names in different things and different project things. Like, it's not necessarily just like that are out and like released, but there are things that I've presented in different mediums, in different forms on the earth, that I like totally separate from me, totally separate from the narrator or myself or Joy or Amber. And those to me, they still feel very strong as what they were, and those characters that I played were very strong. And so it feels very comforting to know that I can access that if I want. really. Which is so cool. I think that's like the best reminder when you're an artist that you can access the other character if you want to. You don't have to, but you very much have access to it at all times. It's in you. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you'd explain it more like it's an extension kind of thing than yeah. Of when you said about the characters.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're like there's a they can like they have agency, you know, like creating characters that have their own agency that like are separate from you is really cool, and they can make their own decisions. And, I mean, writing these characters and then finding out what they would do is like my favorite kind of role play, like rather than what I would do. And it has a lot to do. I think that comes with a lot of like experimenting and like improvising with your own imagination. Because there's like, of course, there's going to be, when you're picking, I think as an artist, when you're picking a name, there's then an expectation that you are there every day.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that anybody is always, I don't think anyone is one-dimensional in any way, no matter how trying to be. It's like not really accurate.
That made me think about Beyonce though. Like I wonder if like Beyonce, like she's a household name, is she like Beyonce all the time? Like, you know, like
I mean, I'm sure Beyonce has through history played with tons of different. I remember that whole Sasha Fierce era.
Yeah.
I think it's very much down to this. It returns to the suspension of disbelief, because it's like it's down to the artist to make you believe that they would make those decisions, like as that character.
Yeah,
that's who they are for this run of time, for this project, or for this experiment. It's really you to make a listener, an audience, a reader believe what you're doing, how you're coming across is a responsibility, and it's not light. It's not light, because there's a lot of things that like I always think about Lady Gaga in this sense of like, she did like those ways of not compromising.
No,
what people are trying. You're still growing as like in fame. You're happy to experiment with your fame rather than like feel that it's on the line.
Yeah. There's
something about that kind of decision that I'm really inspired by, because the stakes aren't as high as people keep deciding that they are. The industry will always make the stakes so high. It's like you have to be this one thing so everyone knows, and it's just over time through history, it's not proved to be accurate, to be true. Like there are a lot of people who are polygots that have created space to be. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Whether or not you're showcasing as a single identity, that you really are a single identity. Which is that's really comforting, really.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. What was it? I was still thinking about the answer. How would you describe your music to others? People who don't know of you.
I don't think I do describe. I don't think I describe it, or I don't really talk about it. I'm like, I don't know if I do describe it to others. I don't think I do describe it to others. I don't really remember. I don't remember the conversation in recent times where I've described it. I think other people around me describe my music.
Okay.
The people around me, they love me, and they want to share what I do. Abby comes to mind in this scenario.
Yeah,
she's constantly describing my music, and it's like almost that feeling of when you put something at an altar, and it becomes more powerful because you're sort of praying to it. And for me, Abby does that for my work, and I'm very grateful because I don't even know if I would have prayed to my own, I don't know if my own prayer or my own vision was as strong before I saw people I love like give me belief. And I don't really think that happens overnight. I think that takes a lot of time for something to work its magic. I think spells are casted and they're not presented right away. And I find that when I share something, that it doesn't get consumed immediately. So that's all I know about it. Like I know that truth. Like it gets dripped into the world in very strange ways.
Yeah.
People's lives in very strange, because like the way that when I get confronted by my own music, I'm always really surprised. Like I don't believe that there is a singular way that it's getting experienced, or that there's a category that it's being experienced in. So but I think that has a lot to do with why my crossovers of it being very heavily in story and very heavily in music. There's like when it does find the world, those two are in conversation. Like the music and the story is in conversation with each other. So I don't know how to then separate them. Like I don't know how to say, oh, this is the kind of music and then this is the kind of story. It's like they are literally, they are together. So I'm not sure, like I'll write certain kinds of stories and then my brain is like, well, that's the kind of music it is, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm writing something that has a story that is quite graphic and feels quite confrontational. Maybe like the characters are being interrogated and they're trying, like interrogating themselves, and they're yearning, they're finding out a discovery. I find that I'm gonna have to make music that's like that, because it will have to complement what is told. It's like, so I it's weird when like there's not a specific, we're not like contained to a specific place, because I'm just trying to compose to the worlds I'm making. So it's like but that's on me. Like that's like my own experience of just wanting to be able to do that. I want to be able to look at my sound and go, I know where that is in the story. I know where that is in the landscape.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan really of like, at least maybe this is not how I make. I need them to be sort of, I need them to live together. So yeah, I'm not sure, but I would say that like Abby just like, she reminds me that my music is honest. So I think that's something I take with me when I sing it or when I present it.
Yeah.
Like there are people that I trust who trust me to make it, and I think that's enough, really. That's enough.
No, I agree. No, when you were still talking about that, I was thinking about like Fingerless Volume 1. I was listening to that yesterday, actually, when I was trying to get to sleep. Because it was like, I kind of wanted to like, and I think with that song, it's like, obviously it takes you on a journey. And I was like, really, I wanted to hear all these voices while I was drifting off, like, and I was like, I want to be in an experience. And and that was exactly what that was.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I'm hoping it is. And so when I hear that, I'm like, oh, okay, good. Like, you know, it's like, oh, right, thank God. Like that was my intention. I think it would be very difficult for me to sit here and sort of romanticize that that's not what I wanted, but it is exactly what I was trying to do. I'm trying to I'm trying to create an experience that people find themselves immersed in, right? And I'm hoping that that's only going to get bigger, and the scale that it raises into places that I very much dream of. But, yeah, but thank you. That's like,
you're welcome.
That's the motivation.
And I love that, like, with your music, you can listen to it anyway. Because I mean, anywhere. Because I was thinking also about Mortal Oil of the Spoiled Spirit as well, and like how, like, sometimes when the cinema song plays, I'm literally anywhere. I'm not in the cinema, but I'm transported to the cinema because it's in my ears. I'm just like on the bus or on the train. And then you're just like, and then you just hear your voice in there about the cinema rules, and I'm like, that does happen though. In the cinema, yeah. And I was like, that's why it takes you there. And I'm like, that's literally what it's like.
Like, that's so good.
Yeah, it's so funny. But I love that album so much.
That was an unbelievable experience to me. I think about it a lot. It was a beautiful time. It was a beautiful April. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, do you feel great when, like, obviously, because I feel like with this album, like, do you feel great when you're obviously being able to work with others, and even more so than obviously just on your own?
Yes, but I don't know. I don't see them as an either or. Really. I am influenced at times. I don't expect, and that is what makes collaboration really exciting for me. Because I don't really. If someone, I find that, like, there's not people I'm wanting to work with. I don't find that to be the case. So when whoever I do work with or do create with, the surprise of it is what I'm more looking forward to than, like, whatever ideas people are coming in with. So I it's like, in my mind, I really want to work with like novelists, just because I feel like there would be something so crazy between that world, of UK rap and storytelling. Experimental. I see, like, the contrast between collaborators is my most exciting feeling, and I like that. I like that as, like, as a compass. So when I'm doing anything with anybody, that is the strongest character. It's like the surprise, like what could possibly happen. So I don't know if it's about, like, because there are people I've worked with where there was no surprise, and so I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this didn't really. This was very controlled. It was very algorithmic. There are people who want to make a song that is the way that people, consume a song. And that happens, and that's what it is, and that will always be. And there are people who walk into a studio and just start. There's no conversation, and you're both all just like, you're just putting yourself into the room rather than, like, telling each other about what you could bring to the room. So I find the surprise when people come with surprise, when people come with a mystery. Those are the greatest collaborations I've ever had, and I find it, like, super special. And I don't think it's rare, which is also wonderful. I don't think it's rare. I think it's a choice. I think you're deciding in there. It's not like a random thing. You're deciding we're going to have freedom here. We're going to be ourselves, and we're not gonna win. No one's winning. Like, there's a lot of it's very political, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
There are people who are like, the studio time is £1,000, so what are we making? You know what I mean? Like there's that too, and it's very political. So to be in a room with people that really love making, oh my god, that's like delicious. Especially when there's like a total trust. When people are just picking up things that they don't play, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Okay, don't say anything, just keep going. And it's like, yeah, we're just gonna go, and oh my god, I am so excited to share things that I've been working on the last couple of years. Like I think about this in this time, all of the people I've gotten to work with, gotten to play with, gotten to be playful with. I feel a sense of shock. I feel a sense of I'm stunned. I'm so impressed by the life around me. Oh, yeah. There's some very incredible, very talented beings into it. And I with my own, I guess, creating by myself, I'm very particular. I'm very pedantic. I'm very obsessive. I like to completely indulge into these speeches about myself when I'm alone. And I find it to be so fun because there's no judgment. There's no, and like, I mean that not even in a bad way, but there's like no judgment day. Like there's no one who's waiting. There's no one who's like checking in on me about what I just get to indulge in these characteristics of my own imagination and my own like self, and that is really quite exciting. I like playing and creating worlds alone a lot because it's just so, it's like the discovery period is just crazy. It's like, whoa we didn't know we were gonna go there. Now we're singing opera. Like, why not? You know, who knew? There are so many times in which I've done that. Like I'm making like rock in my room. Like, whoa, you know, this is it. Or we're doing like sleepy time ballads. And it's like there's just so much that happens in the self-discovery when one is alone. So it's like that's also so fun. I don't think they're very comparative. I think they just illuminate different things.
That was so cool. I really love what you were saying about just like how music should be, just as in like being playful with it and not like not like a guidebook. I meant like just
Absolutely.
having fun and when you mentioned opera, I was like, I would love to hear an opera song from you. That would be so cool.
Listen. It's really like coming soon. It's really coming soon. is the answer. It's really coming soon. I mean, yeah. There's nothing else.
This question was like, I was like, are there any like other musicians in your family, or has there been, or are you the first of your kind?
My parents are not musicians. My father loves music. And played jungle and drum and bass and house at any given opportunity. We were in proximity to each other. My mom loves dancing. I don't know if she loves music, but she likes to dance. And she likes move the body and like feel good in her body. So, you know, whenever there was something that was like with that in mind, whenever she was playing something, it had to be of that of that way. It had to make her dance. So that could be house, or it could be, she loves indie irie. So there would just be like times in which there's no one in my immediate family that presented music to me. It was just circumstance.
Yeah.
And the way that you would have music on in the car, or that you would buy a CD and it would be on in the house. There has been an effort to have a piano in every house or apartment that my mother and I have lived in. There's been an effort. It wasn't like fully arranged. It could be, but there was definitely like efforts around my life of like my mom seeing that I was really interested in something and trying her best to facilitate that. And I think she did a fantastic job of letting me like navigate my curiosity. And I'm very grateful, because she doesn't understand anything of what I do. She has like no central, like, if like anyone who's asked her like what's going on with your daughter, like she's not fully able to articulate it. And I love that, because she clearly could. Like, she's watched me over my entire life be creative.
Yeah.
And she's seen all of the things that I've made or that I put out, whether it was in school or now, and seen that it is all accumulated to this now. But she's just a very supportive woman who made sure that it was possible to create, and I really love her for those things. There isn't anyone in my family that I think listens to music the way I do, which is really cool. I don't mind. I think it's like there's a time for everything. But I definitely have had to then find and create family in friends and in community, to be able to feel the strength of that knowing, and like the strength of knowing that, okay, if this, in my home, then we've all gravitated towards each other like magnets, to be able to share what we do and to be able to enjoy it. Like, it's not just all like doing this thing just because like we have to, or that's really special. So I have a family of people that I trust and have taught me so much.
Yeah.
So much about all of this, because it's impossible to do this alone. It's like it's very naive to think that anyone can. And there are a lot of people to take you around the map.
I like that, obviously you said, well, they opened that up for you though, as in like they knew that you were like drawn to music, and then they just, they made a home for it, like as in to always make sure it was there for you and everything like that, which is really beautiful.
Yeah. My grandfather on my mother's side, I just remembered this. He got me my first guitar, which I still have. And he's a guitarist himself. He's never made any of his own music, but he plays other people's music. But he definitely, I remember when my mom was like, oh, this is something that she likes. And he was like, say no more. Like, it was like that. It was like, I think that when it's so beautiful when, it could have been anything. It could have been like, oh, she loves shoelaces. And like, you would have bought like a bag of shoelaces. Like, I think there's the sensations when there are adults around that see not that they want like you to be this big star, or I mean, actually maybe that's not true. My mother does want to be a big star. But,
that's nice though.
But actually maybe that's not true. But there is a sensation of like I I'm here if you're not, you know, I'm here if you just like this thing. And my mom is so that. She's so that woman of like, I'm in the front because you just like this thing. She's just like, she just can't help it. She just loves to love me. And I know that, and I'm very grateful. You know, no matter, like, despite the circumstances of life and time and whatever has happened, I know that she has flown the miles to come and be present in what I do, and I uphold that with gratitude, for sure. I love when in a performance, when I'm with, let's say I'm performing with Life is Beautiful. I recently we did a show on Thursday, and there's many moments that I love, but there's something that has happened always between us all, as there's 8 of us, so it has to happen. We have to constantly communicate. But there is a feeling of when you're looking at someone and you're playing something and they're playing something, and one by one everyone begins and you get into the pocket, I guess that's what people would call it, and you start, rather than, you know, being aware that you're playing to a crowd, you become aware that you're playing for each other. And that, like, tethering and that unity is undescribable. Like, I've seen it. I've seen it happen in, like, different places. Like, I think it's like it's real sportsmanship, you know. It's like we're as a team, like, we're doing this together. We've worked our hardest. We've, like, spent the days and hours. We've put it in, and now, like, we're on the field, we're on the ice. So, like, there's such a camaraderie, the unity of playing with people that you have been that you have, like, just bonded with. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing like that eye contact. Like, I find that my favorite parts of any show. Like, I will lose all character. Like, I just start smiling. I might start laughing. I just completely forget that, like, we are doing this to a bunch of people. Well, like, and there's strangers who are just observing us in this. And it's so treasured. It's so treasured for me. And it cannot be 8. It could just be me and one other. But there's this understanding, like, we are here making this up together. And I'm just, oh my God, most days that just wakes me up. Just to know that, like, that's going to come back is very, very important for everything, for all of this. Yeah, that's my favorite feeling, for sure.
Do you have anything like you'd like to end off, like to say to anybody or anything
to
like
anybody?
That? Yeah, like, do you have an end note? Like, you know, listen
just
to.
Like, I am like, do I just do a confession now?
Yeah, like listen to the narrator. Yeah.
I think I'd just like to thank you.
Thank you.
For also being very consistent and very supportive and being vocal about that, because, you know, sometimes London is way too cool and people try to be too cool. It's like, just like what you like, you know. So I thank you, for sure. And I recently fell in love, and it has definitely reminded me that all of this being, you know, we're not immortal. This life, that we're not immortal, and, like, there are things that we should cherish. and not to be like afraid of cherishing something and being devoted to something, because this is really not going to happen again in this way. So I think those are my end notes of like what is to come, what has come before us, and what's happening now. That we can love, and like we can make a point of it and make it a currency, make it part of the way that you are living in. It's definitely my only like consistent target is like, okay, I want to experience all of this, and then that will be it. And then I'm gonna go, and my time will come, and that will be fine. Our time will come, and your time will come, and it will happen. So it's like you might as well just like experience who you are and what you can be, and leave the rest up to time. Yeah, leave the rest up to whoever, whatever. But what you can do, you should.
Thank you so much, Joy. Like, thank you for being you, for being candid, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.